So I have this natural tendency to kind of overcomplicate things. It's easier said than done, but my tendency to overcomplicate pretty much everything that I'm passionate about is a real struggle for me. And the fact is, overcomplicating situations, especially when you're building something new from the ground up, can be the absolute worst thing that you could do. Let's take music, for example. I've been playing music in different bands and on my own, recording things in home studios, professional studios, playing on all sorts of different stages for 2 decades plus now at this point. And it's kind of interesting because with music, oftentimes the way to actually create a feeling or a special moment within a song has way less to do about the notes or the chords that you actually strike, and much more to do with the space that you leave between the sound that the listener hears. And in my business, I continue to wrestle my natural tendency to overcomplicate stuff, which my reasons for that I will get to in a moment. You know, for instance, right now, I'm incredibly close to launching my next big thing. In fact, by the time that you're seeing this, I may have already officially launched, possibly. And for the first time since jumping into self-employment full-time back in 2019, I'm launching a premium subscription service that has no specific ties to me or my name. And I'm so excited, and I'm pretty nervous about this because I've never done anything like this before. And since 2019, it's always been my face or my name attached to whatever I'm doing. I started as a freelance email marketer. And so it was like, hey, hire me. My name's Evan. Here's some of the stuff I've done. So to step outside of that and to create something that's not my face or name is really fun and exciting to think about. And because I want everything to be amazing and smooth sailing, I've spent at least several months longer than necessary to get this thing up and running and ready for the world to enjoy. Now, granted, as a solopreneur or a one-person business owner, many instances you find yourself doing pretty much everything yourself, which has extreme advantages and extreme disadvantages associated with it. And even the offer itself took a hot minute to figure out, all to realize that I'm not gonna be able to fully dial this in until I actually launch the service and start to iterate as I go. It's like with anything, you don't become a bodybuilder by studying and reading about lifting weights, diet, exercise, the whole thing. You have to take yourself into the gym, put yourself underneath the weight, and start moving the weight over and over and over. And you're gonna learn how to do it better and better and better. And over time, you will build. You will get to the thing that you want. And what about marketing? I mean, do I go all out and create new profiles on all of the major social media platforms and somehow find a way to create twice as much content as I already do and post frequently and consistently on the new brand channels as well as my personal brand channels and everything else, let alone running the business and figuring out how to make it operate better and better as we launch? And the short answer is no, we're not doing that. We're gonna keep it nice and simple, which really is the tone of what we're talking about today. And the fact is, oftentimes all of us, we tend to overcomplicate the things that we care about the most, whether it be that new relationship.
It's complicated.
A new career move, or any other life decision that matters. Keeping things simple is one of my weaknesses for sure. And I know that I'm not alone in this. I mean, how many times have we either looked at our phone or been next to our friend who's starting to date somebody new, or they're talking and the text doesn't have that smiley face emoji at the end of it. And so you're like, oh my gosh, what did I say? Are they mad at me? Like, are we gonna break up? I thought things were going well.
Oh, I think I'm gonna cry.
In the office, if you just get a new job and you don't know anybody yet, and you're just trying to find your way into the inside circle with everybody there and start to feel accepted. And rest assured, it's not a me thing, it's not a you thing, it's a human thing. We all deal with this.
Human nature, isn't it?
But if I know that this is potentially hurting me more than it is helping, why is it that I'm doing this? Why is it that we do this?
We're about to find out.
And so I've been digging really deep into fully figuring this out, but there are several big factors at play here, and it's all wrapped around one major human kryptonite known as
ego.
Here we go.
And let's be real, I'm just a human and I'm doing my best to be honest and transparent. And truthfully, I'm more motivated to document this stuff more so for my kids and their children than for any other reason, no offense.
None taken.
But maybe you'll find this relatable and useful somehow too. When we're talking about ego, I'll use myself as the example as always here on this channel. You know, sometimes my ego will say, don't be seen as this person that chases shiny objects. You know, I don't want people to think that I'm this wishy-washy person that never really thinks through stuff before before they do it, that they speak out of turn without actually thinking through what they're actually saying. And so my go-to remedy for this is this concept of preparation improves perception. Say that 10 times fast. But the fact is, the more that I prepare, it gives me a better chance of relaying information and relaying my point in a way that doesn't allow for people to misunderstand what I'm trying to say, if that makes sense. And because I don't want to be seen as this person that chases shiny objects, I need to spend more time preparing so that when I do go public with something, using this new business or brand, for example, I need to make sure that people know that I was calculated and smart about the moves that I made. And so I'm so concerned about how other people are going to see me that I over prepare, hence overcomplicating things, when a lot of times keeping it simple is the better approach. And other times my ego will say things like never show weakness, or truthfully, it's more of a lack of confidence. I don't want people to see that I don't have all the confidence in the world around whatever it is that I'm talking about or doing. Oftentimes perfectionism really is just an excuse, and it's this like exterior to what is really an insecurity that somebody has. When they're like, oh, I'm just a perfectionist, that's just how I am. A lot of times it's because you can't handle the idea of somebody seeing you or the things that you're a part of as less than perfect. And that's hard. And so we never want to show that weakness. My ego says that. And so then I try to be perfect. And to be perfect requires a lot of extra thought, effort, energy, and usually it ends up in us overcomplicating things yet again. And the last thing that I'll share as far as how my ego will come into play and kind of I'll sabotage myself a little bit without realizing is sometimes my ego will say, I want people to like me and I want people to compliment my work. And on this point, it's kind of interesting. It makes me think about the concept of love languages. And one of them is words of affirmation. I've just found that words of affirmation are like these check-in, like these checkpoints. It fills me up to be complimented, to be told that I'm doing a great job, or that I'm really insightful or interesting, or that they really loved this video. And if you do, go ahead and hit the like button right now. It's a great opportunity for you. But that shouldn't be the requirement for me to press on. I shouldn't need to be affirmed in order to move forward on something that I believe in and something that I am proud of.
Damn right!
And so now let me share some advice that I have written down for myself moving forward. And then wherever this applies for you, feel free to use it as well, obviously. Sometimes you'll have this grand idea and a lot of people just aren't going to understand it. They can't see it and they may just kind of roll their eyes or maybe even laugh at you, but you have to be willing to take that across the chin and not let that sway you from the thing that you see. Because the fact is, people can't see your vision the way that you do until you create something to prove that it's real and that it's good and that it deserved to exist in the first place. And that's why you built it, right? And it's also not everybody's job to believe in your dreams. It's your job to believe in your dreams.
Hell yeah!
I've done this a lot. It's a whole other topic unto itself, really, but recognize that your limiting beliefs around how to actually become successful may be the very thing keeping you from it. And the reality is your reputation has little to no sway on how well an idea may or may not turn out. If it's something you believe in, put your heart into it and don't look back. Think about like a celebrity like Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson.
You better start talking before I break that finger 6 different ways and stick it right where the sun doesn't shine.
He went from playing football to wrestling to acting to starting a tequila company, and now he does so many different things that it's hard to keep up. Your reputation will adapt as you continue to grow and put yourself out there in the world, doing new and exciting things that are interesting and compelling to you. As a person, you're also a personal brand, whether you think about it that way or not. And we're all multifaceted individuals with multiple talents, handfuls of skills, and a lifetime's worth of stories that are all unique and individual to each one of us. Even if we have similar experiences, we didn't grow up believing exactly the same things. That's kind of the beauty of you as an individual, as a person, and then the brand that is unique unto you that nobody else can fully repeat. So don't let the idea of, well, I have to be perfect so that I don't tarnish my reputation. Just focus on being a good person and sticking up for yourself, as long as it's not at the expense of other people. Just aim to contribute in your own unique way, and your reputation you never have to worry about. It's this concept, sometimes we'll call it build in public. And I'm still learning, like I said, exactly what this means and how to do it effectively. But instead of hiding in the shadows, it's like with this new service that I'm about to launch and its own brand that's associated with it. I know I've like kind of been ominous and not like shared everything yet. Why is that? Is that helping me, helping the business, or is it hurting it? And so we have to think about that. And the more that we share our work with no expectations, no needing from approval from anybody, but just sharing our process openly and honestly, what we do is we start to get buy-in from other people, and people start to enjoy watching the process. They enjoy watching the build. This is another great way to completely combat this overcomplication that a lot of us struggle with. Just start sharing what you have, share your thoughts, and be willing to learn and grow along the way. It's not about always being right or doing everything perfect.
No, it's not.
It's about being honest and authentic with yourself and the rest of the world. It's really interesting because, ironically, the more we try to protect things, the less control we really have over the result in the end. We can all think back to a time when we were kids and we had that friend that had just really overbearing, strict parents that like wouldn't let them do anything, wouldn't let them go experience stuff. They wouldn't let them try and fail. And those kids, a lot of times, as they grow older and now they're in a position where they can start making decisions for themselves, they bolt.
I can't do this anymore.
They run away from that area that had them so suppressed, which unfortunately is their own parents, their own family and household. We just have to recognize that in its own way, the more that we protect and hold on so tight, the less control that we're ultimately going to have in the end. And it's stressful and it becomes a more complicated situation than it ever needed to be. And within all of the stuff we've talked about so far, it is this really unique blend of science and art. You think about just communication in general. There is a science behind the way that you communicate a point to make it more compelling to the person that's listening to you. It is also an art form where you think of it like the conversation is this blank canvas and you and that other person with their paintbrushes will be painting in the conversation. So it's kind of this interesting blend of the two, which makes the topic of this video so dynamic and situational that no one right answer can ever be positioned as the end all be all truth to the whole thing. And remember, even though the thing you're working on or working toward is a big deal to you, and rightfully so, it does not constitute our knee-jerk tendencies to overcomplicate matters and inadvertently sabotage the possibility of it becoming the next great chapter of your story. And as I think about this, it really all kind of comes down to respect. Respect yourself. Respect these ideas that you have, your passions and your pursuits, the vision and dream that you have of something that you're working toward. Like people that are in school for a long time to become a surgeon, for instance, or entrepreneurial minds like myself where we want to build businesses. We need to respect that and recognize that we can get in our own way on accident and sometimes on purpose because we're scared of it not working out well. It can kind of also bleed into the idea of respecting others. It's almost disrespectful to not show up into the world and contribute, like we mentioned before, in a way that's unique and individual to you. We can and all should be chipping in to the greater good of the world. And the best way to do this is by not overcomplicating it. So with all of that said, think about what you're working on or toward in this current chapter of your life and ask yourself how this concept of simplicity may help you right now. I make these videos for a few different reasons. I was talking about my kids earlier in the video, but I also make these videos to create really great connections with people like you. So comment down below and let me know how this whole thing applies to you right now. Let's continue to grow together, and please consider subscribing to this channel if you haven't done so already. And until next time, peace.